guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be cleaning up some of the dolls that I opened in my previous unboxing. So these are the Eyeless dolls, and I figured that since we're going to clean this up and they look kind of spooky without their eyes, why not read scary stories from Paranormal Encounters on Reddit? So that's what we're going to do. So sit back, go and grab a drink, some food, or whatever you like while listening and watching me clean up these eyeless dolls and reading the paranormal encounter stories on Reddit. So here goes. The first story is titled Looking Back into Paranormal Stuff, so deciding to share a story. Context: I have visions of the future. When I was little, I was woken up by a nightmare, and when I went to the stairs to run to my parents' room, which was downstairs, I came face to face with a shadow person, which seemed frozen on the steps. Later on, when I was about 18 or 19, I was having trouble with paranoia and trying to get my spiritual energy under control. I had also been deeply troubled by that night. While walking up the stairs, as I looked up, I got that feeling of deja vu which always accompanies my visions coming to reality. I realized I was in the exact same position as the figure from when I was little, and that my silhouette would have matched its. I quickly deduced that since all my visions are from my perspective, that I must have been awoken right before a vision, which causes to sort of glitch into reality and caused me to see the shadow figure. I figured this story would be a good intro. I don't plan to make any more, as I really don't have encounters anymore. Okay, so this is very creepy. So he had some sort of nightmare, and this nightmare kind of caused him to see things. I'm not sure if this is commonly used in the US, but here in the Philippines, we usually call it the third eye. So sometimes the third eye is opened whenever you have a traumatic experience. It can also open whenever encounter paranormal stuff, like here we call it kulam. I suppose you can call it in the US or in English, you were cursed by a witch or something. So that can also open your third eye. And you can also open your third eye if you manually open it. Let's say someone, shaman or a witch doctor, if you request for them to open your third eye for whatever reason that you have, if you want to see ghosts, if you want to see supernatural beings, they can open that for you, but it's not highly advised that for you to do that, because what will happen is, well, most of the time those people who forcefully open their third eye become insane and they regret what they did. Apparently, if you are not really inclined to see ghosts or paranormal beings, meaning that you don't have your third eye naturally opened, means that you're not meant to, and you don't have the mental fortitude to handle that. Well, not all the time that this is the thing. Sometimes you can handle it, but most of the time you can't. So it's very dangerous, and it's not really advisable to manually or forcefully open your third eye. Alright, so let's go ahead and read the next paranormal encounter story on Reddit. This one is entitled Jinn Encounter. So we always go for a night stroll at night, but weirdly that day, I was feeling a bit sick, for I decided to stay in. Everyone left. I closed all the doors, but as I was about to close this one window, which opened in a large terrace, I froze to the spot. I saw a lady which was exactly looking like my aunt, like the same hairstyle she laughed with, same clothes, and she was turned a bit so I could see her face. I couldn't even scream. I just shut the window and ran for my life, leaving the door open. Halfway, I met my family and asked if my aunt went home. Then they just made fun of me and said that he was hallucinating, but it was very real. I wasn't even hallucinating. Was that a jinn? For context, so a jinn, you probably know this as a genie, but actually, from not very known into the public or from people who are not from the Middle East, jinn could also refer to demons, to spirits, actually to everything that is paranormal in the Middle East or if you're a Muslim or something. But anyway, so I'm not really an expert of that, but just that is just something that I remember reading somewhere or listening to somewhere. She's saying that she thinks that either it's a ghost or something paranormal like a demon copying the likeness of her aunt. So this is very dangerous because if she, let's say, engage with this person or this being that's copying or imitating her aunt, it's possible that she could be lured into something that she wouldn't want. Like she could be possessed or something bad could happen to her. Thankfully, she didn't engage with this spirit or this entity, this jinn. So she left and called the attention of her family. I think she got away from it. So good. At least nothing bad happened to her. But anyway, let's move on to the next paranormal encounter story. This one is titled We Heard My Name Called. While in the kitchen a few months back, my wife, mother, and myself heard my name called right outside the window. The window leads to our backyard, which is closed off by a fence. The voice sounded like it was right next to it. I'm a skeptic, so normally I would write this off as my imagination. But since two other people heard the exact same thing, clear as day, I wanted to hear other opinions. Is it possible that we all imagined the same thing? Could it have been something paranormal? Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I live in the Philippines and we do have something like this. Earlier, we spoke about jinns, and this time they didn't really see anything, but they heard something. Something that was mimicking or maybe just calling his name or the OP's name outside from outside the house. Could be a reasonable explanation for this, like maybe he has a friend or a neighbor that he was really calling his name. For whatever reason, this person didn't just knock on their door. Maybe it was late at night and they were just trying to see if anyone was awake at that time and they didn't really want to disturb. But I don't know, why couldn't you just knock on the door like a normal person? But yes, it could also be paranormal. Who knows, really? The thing is, here in the Philippines, there is that thing that when someone calls your name at night and you don't know who it is, it's a disembodied voice, you should never answer it. It's not really clear why that you should never answer it, but some people think that if you answer it, then you're inviting that being into your house, into your life, and then they're going to trouble you from that day on. So make sure, especially at night, in the middle of the night, and someone calls your name, do not answer it, especially if there's knocking on the door. It's ominous whenever someone's knock at the door and it's only three times, like three knocks. They say that it's a mockery of the Holy Spirit or the Trinity of the Holy Spirit. Are knocking only three times and they wouldn't answer you whenever you are asking who they are, who's knocking. It could mean that someone, a being, a malevolent being, is trying to enter the house, and under no circumstances should you open that door. Let's move on to the next story. So this is a bit not safe for work, so trigger warning. The title is Did I Get Laid by a Ghost? So such a titillating title. Let's see. So when I was younger, 10 to 12, I had fairly regular nocturnal emissions or wet dreams. Okay, as I told you, this is a bit not safe for work. But anyway, moving on. So when I moved past puberty, I didn't have them that often, maybe one to two a year. But back in 2008, I was 23 at that time, I was visiting a friend in Colorado and slept in a guest room when things got weird. It was down in the basement and it was fairly dark. I felt that there was some dark energy and just felt like someone was there. So the night in question, I had 7 nocturnal emissions over the course of 2 nights. 4 the first night, 3 the other, and all my dreams that night were sexual in nature. And I woke up after those 2 nights and I asked if I could sleep upstairs and complained about feeling weird in that room. His reaction? Oh damn, I was hoping that wasn't the case. Yeah, we think it is haunted. Some female entity. Bad energy. He didn't want to talk about it anymore. So, what the hell happened? To be honest, I'm not traumatized, but I just thought it was crazy strange. Thoughts? Okay, so if you're not really into the paranormal, you probably haven't heard of what we call a succubus. So a succubus is a female demon or a female entity that, um, well, for lack of a better term, they have sex with a male, okay, during their sleep. The male counterpart is an incubus. So this is a male demon that supposedly um, gets have sex with a female person while they're sleeping. So this is very invasive, of course. So just think of it. So you're sleeping, so you're really not able to give your approval. You're not really able to agree if you want to do it or not. But yes, so I think that's what happened here. What's really strange for me is that the friend who allowed him to sleep in that room, they already had suspicion that something like this happens in that room, that they think it's haunted. I wouldn't really think it's nice of them to let their friend sleep in that room. What could have happened is that maybe he could have had this nightmare, or and then he wouldn't be able to wake up from it, or something happened like he might get possessed, he may get scratches, if this is a malevolent demon. But luckily, it's not like that. However, still, it's kind of icky for someone for something like this to happen. Like someone's having their way with you while you're sleeping. Okay, of course, that's not very nice. But it looks like the OP is not really bothered by it. Maybe he was just embarrassed to say this, but maybe he was even enjoying it. Well, I don't know. He said that he wanted to move to a different room, so maybe it wasn't enjoyable for him. But still, I would think that the friend wouldn't allow anyone to sleep in that room if they already have suspicion of this happening. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's go ahead and read the next story. Okay, so the next paranormal encounter titled The Pope's Exorcist. Okay, this is interesting. Alright, so me and my girlfriend and our 3 friends watched this movie last night. My dogs never bark at nothing and mostly lay down and chill out. Everything was fine until the movie started speaking in Latin, and all of a sudden, both my dogs stood up. It was almost like they were in sync with each other, and they were both looking at my room. I tried to make them stop and even turn the lights on, but they kept growling and staring at my room. They only stopped when we turned the movie off. I believe in ghosts and the supernatural. Do you think I let something into my house? My mom, who is a Catholic, told me movies like that invite and open portals into your house. I never really believed her, but after last night, I'm not sure what I believe anymore, and it really shook me up. Okay, so again, this is nothing that I experienced myself. This is just something that I read somewhere, or maybe watch a, an episode from a TV show somewhere. But they say, again, take this with a grain of salt because I'm not really sure if this is true. If you are fond of watching horror movies or, you know, reading scary stories, so yes, it could invite something into your house. That is true, then, I'm screwed. Because I like watching horror movies, but not all the time. I just watch it occasionally, even though I'm really into the paranormal. So the reason for this, why you're going to invite them, is because more often than not, you're like manifesting. Remember whatever you try to involve yourself in, if you really like, for example, like this paranormal. So you're like inviting the paranormal into your life, whether you like it or not. That is, of course, if you're delving too much into it. It's not like you just watch one horror movie and then suddenly your house is haunted. No. Um, we're saying here that if you're constantly watching something, maybe you're so into it, you're like always watching it constantly and thinking about it. I remember that the mind is a very powerful thing. Okay, they always say that, and I believe that's true. So you're basically manifesting something into happening. Does this mean that you should avoid watching scary movies or doing anything paranormal? No. It just means that you should be careful with what you do. Like, if you just watch one movie and then you're not like watching it every hour of the day, then I think that's fine. Okay, and then of course, always think of it like it's just make believe. It's not really true. It's not a real life. So that's what I do actually. I think that's also one of the reasons why I really can't see ghosts or sense ghosts, because when I was a kid, I was really, really, really cowardly, that for lack of a better term. I'm scared of everything. I cannot sleep at night. I cannot go out at night when it's dark. Sometimes I remember a day when I was watching a scary show and I couldn't sleep the entire night. And then my father told me that just think that it's not real. Okay, that everything that I'm seeing, everything that I'm experiencing is not real. That it's just make believe. And for some reason, that really stuck. Everything I see, whenever I see something strange, I hear something strange, I couldn't help but think that it's not real. It's not really happening. And that solved it. I'm not really scared because at the back of my mind, I'm all constantly thinking that I'm just making it up, you know, that it's not real and that it's not really happening. So I guess you could also do that if you don't really want to experience anything paranormal. You can just mentally condition your mind to think that what you're seeing is not the reality. Of course, you're not going to do this when you're like in danger, like being flooded in, and it's not really water coming inside my house, or like um, it's not real that the house is burning, something like that. No, what I mean is like, when you see something like this, a paranormal, something that you could find an explanation for, like a strange sound, or maybe what you saw a figure in the darkness. So you could mentally condition your mind to think that it's not really true, and I guess that solves it. Something I just heard from somewhere, that if you give attention to ghosts or strange beings, you're going to be attracted by it, and then they're really going to make their presence known to you. So be careful with that. Okay, I think this is going to be the last story. This is titled Revaluation with My Old Encounter. Back when I was 11 to 12, I used to go out in the woods and mess around. One particular time I went there alone. After around 10 minutes, I started getting this uneasy feeling of being watched from bushes near a bridge. Context: the place I went to had an old bridge. After that, I slowly started walking back towards the trail until I felt that I could sprint upwards. After that, I completely forgot about this encounter for about a year. After a while, I learned about half missing 411 cases and the sudden change in the forest. I remembered how unusually quiet it was and how I felt something watching me. Fast forward another year, I learned that they hang a guy at this bridge. My grandpa told me that I should stay away because the ghost of the guy supposedly still haunts to this day. Okay, so just in case you're not aware of this term, the 411 cases, so these are cases of people missing in forests, in like national parks, I mean. So in the mountains, so anywhere that's not really populated by people, and then maybe you went camping, you just walked there, and you were never found again. Okay, so I think this OP was very lucky that he didn't explore because some people, for whatever reason, they would feel the need to explore, like when they feel that something strange is happening, they think that someone's watching them. Their instinct is to go looking. Now, I'm so sorry, but I think that's dumb. So what you should do is just run. Okay, go the opposite direction and then be safe. Because if you're the sort of person who is really intrepid, who's doing everything that they can to look into things, delve into things, usually you get burned. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Alright, so I think that's going to be it for this video. So I'm going to finish cleaning up these dolls. But yeah, so you'll be seeing them soon in another video. I'm going to do a video, one or two of them at a time, where I put in their eyes. Okay, so actually when I am as I'm recording this, I've already put in eyes on some of them, and I'm going to do just a show. I'm going to show what they look like now. But that's all. Thank you for watching this video and have a nice day. Bye bye. Stay tuned for my next videos.